All the scenes are brown, all the scenes are brown, and the story is oh so lame. Paul W.S. Anderson, you've gone and done this shit once again. Not even Dave Bautista and Mila Jovovich can save the day, 'cause it's oh so lame. UPS says, look at all this brown, it must be a W.S. day. In the Lost Lands was allegedly written and directed by Paul W.S. Anderson. More on his filmography in a bit. This was also allegedly written by Constantine Werner and based on the short story by George R.R. Martin. Google the names, kid, if you don't know what I'm talking about. Anyway, so this takes place in a very brown post-apocalyptic universe where Grace Alice, played by the incredibly talented, incredibly beautiful, and apparently incredibly ageless Mila Jovovich, who I've loved since The Fifth Element. And she's absolutely captivating. She's gorgeous. She's just, I think she's neat, as Marge Simpson would say. And she's a sorceress or a witch. We found the witch. May we burn her? How do you know she's a witch? She looks like one. But she has a particular set of skills. Skills that a queen, played by Amara Okarek, I think that's how you say it. If I mispronounce it, I do apologize. She is a queen that wants absolute power, and because even though Gray has all these skills and can control people, she can't refuse any request. That seems kind of counterproductive to her having any kind of goddamn life, but such is the life of a sorceress. Anyway, she is sent out by this queen to venture into the Lost Lands in a film called In the Lost Lands. Hold on, movie, hold on. I need to catch my breath and absorb this detail of this deep narrative that you're trying to hit me over the head with, or this deep narrative that you're attempting to have. Attempting as far as, I don't know, trying to spell the word narrative without help. Wonder if I'm tipping my hands on how I felt about In the Lost Lands. But let's continue. Gray Alice realizes that she cannot do this on her own, so she gets a bounty hunter named Boyce, played by the very gifted Dave Bautista, the best wrestler turned actor. Yeah, The Rock has made a shit pot full of money playing an extension of his wrestling persona, and John Cena has done some good stuff. He also did Jackpot and Ricky Stenicki, and has a Randy Savage, mid to late 90s bald spot going on, but I digress. Batista has shown incredible range, and even in bad movies, or movies I didn't care for, such as Knock at the Cabin or Army of the Dead, he has shown great range. And I wouldn't be surprised to see him up for Oscar consideration should he stick with this, because he has shown a great pass to, really put himself out there and put himself in different roles. So when I saw this trailer, I thought, okay, this looks kind of silly and ridiculous. It also looks like a film that should have been put directly to streaming. But apparently it has a reported budget of just over $55 million, which is sizable, especially from a studio like Vertical Films, Vertical Entertainment, They're just called Vertical. I wonder if they're going to go horizontal if they make more films like this that don't end up succeeding. Yeah, again, I wonder if I'm tipping my hand as to how I felt about this. They venture out into the Lost Lands. They are also being pursued by somebody that wants to get at the sorceress. And also the queen may not be everything she's cracked up to be, and also possible mutiny, and the natives are getting restless, and a whole bunch of stuff that I could worry about spoiling, but I really don't give a shit. I will say, however, this movie's dumb as hell, and not dumb in a good way. Paul W.S. Anderson has had quite the career making films off of popular IPs, but not making a film that's ever been particularly good. Mortal Kombat 1995 is better than Mortal Kombat Annihilation, but I shat things out better than Mortal Kombat Annihilation. Event Horizon had neat ideas, poor execution. Soldier was lame. It belonged in the 80s. The Resident Evil movies, really after the first one or two, they all went downhill. Then we had Alien vs. Predator that was neat. The Queen drastically changing her size depending on your perspective, and as well as the 2011 Three Musketeers. He's done other stuff, and look, this film is fucking stupid. This is one of the most simplistic stories yet incomprehensible narratives that I've seen in a while, because you just get characters doing stuff and then bing, we go to another scene where, I can do this now instead, or, this character actually has this particular story arc, even though you can figure out exactly where this thing's going pretty much from the beginning. It opens with Batista talking about his story. And then keep that in mind that he tells this story to this particular person. We find out who it is, even though actually you should know who the hell it is. Not a Saltburn situation like that, but it's pretty obvious who he's telling the story to. And despite my appreciation for the acting skills of Dave Bautista and Mila, and the fact that she's also, again, incredibly gorgeous. This movie is ugly, boring, bland, and nonsensical, and absolutely not a fun time at all. In the Lost Land should have been put in the fucking dirt. Ironic, because dirt is brown, and this film is so goddamn brown. It's incredibly brown. It's not even brown and has a weird filter like 300, which at least had a nice sheen to it. This is just ugly and bland, like they found cameras that were in a sewage system that hadn't been cleaned or even covered in the last decade, and they forgot to try to clean the cameras off, and that's just how they filmed them. It really, really was ugly and bland. None of the action scenes were any good. The ending was so goddamn... It was both obvious, yet also very confusing with how they actually got to that point and how any of it made sense. It's in theaters, but will probably be on streaming very soon. I'm going to get into spoilers. That's just your warning. There you go. Spoilers. So, they are searching for this power of a shapeshifter because the queen wants to become a shapeshifter. The queen also is pregnant by somebody that happens to also be this particular shapeshifter. But she also loves this long-haired soldier guy that's straight out of Game of Thrones, fitting for George R.R. Martin being involved with this short story. And also there's this character called Patriarch that's trying to maintain the overlord. That's the very, very old guy that the queen is with. I do want to say that Amara actually is a very attractive woman, so I mean, I could see why anybody would fall for her. But and also there's this character, Mara Dedre Mullins, who is very attractive as well. And there's this other character named the Enforcer, or Arlie, I think is her name. And that actress is like straight out of the Mad Max Furiosa playbook with the short hair, but not with any of the proper character build. Not even anything against the actor, but it's like, in the very beginning, after Dave Bautista says he's going to tell this story, we see that Gray Alice is almost going to be hung. But then she outsmarts everybody because if she looks in your eyes, she can make you do whatever she wants. And somehow that ends with the soldiers getting killed. She ends up trying to hang this Enforcer character. That doesn't end up working. And it's actually kind of funny. Or, Arlie, she actually kind of ends up hanging her. I don't know why. It's just so funny to me. But then Arlie vows revenge. And she pursues her on this train, these train tracks that go through the Lost Lands, and it's straight out of Mad Max, except it's straight out of the Bad Max. It's like they looked at an image of Mad Max, looked at the title, and said, yeah, we can do that. We don't want to get any story or actually understand how to film this stuff properly. There's this point where there's this bus doing these cable stuff and everything. It's so goddamn ridiculous. It's so silly. It's so bullshit. And I don't mind silly, but Mila is very, gifted. She has like these, hook blades and stuff like that and doing this stuff. But then also she shows vulnerability. And she also, before this, is talking to Dave Bautista's character, who obviously has a secret. The idea is the queen wants to turn into a shapeshifter, so they're going to go find a werewolf. I'm going to spoil it right now. Dave Bautista is the werewolf, and they go all the way to Skull River. Which is at the end of this, weird map that's straight out of Gauntlet Dark Legacy, except Red Warrior doesn't need food badly. Paul W.S. Anderson needs to be kicked out of Hollywood badly. Only deep cut video game fans are going to get that. But yeah, the idea is also, while this is going on, the queen is trying to assume power because she kills the overlord. The patriarch ends up getting killed. She basically gets this long-haired guy, again, straight out of Game of Thrones, to be by her side, but then the natives get restless and start attacking. There are guns being used in this, which, whatever, alternate reality, post-apocalyptic, I don't really care. And meanwhile, before the werewolf revelation, we get fights with these weird Groot-like creatures. The non-Furiosa woman ends up getting killed as this train falls off this goddamn, track that's not finished and everything, straight out of a Wile E. Coyote cartoon, except without the flag or without the little umbrella to go down, and without the Acme Corporation being involved. Because I think Acme actually would have built better sets than this. And before that, Boyce gets shot, and it turns out he got shot with some silver. But after cleaning the wound, there was something that, basically, necessitates, him not feeling well for a bit after he turns into a werewolf, revealing who he truly is. That Gray Alice put a silver coin in his skin when she did the repairs, proving that she was outsmarting him. I guess she somehow did that, but his thing is she can't refuse anybody, right? So this weird soldier guy had handed her a pocket time stop watch thing. Hey, stop the queen from doing this, or honoring the queen's wish. Even though the queen paid you, I'm paying you, and you're paying Boyce to help you, but then Boyce is going to... None of it makes any sense. It's fine. Boyce ends up basically chained down after they have a fight and everything. And she has adamantium claws for some reason, silver claws, and he basically says, you can't refuse anyone, right? I want to be with you. That's it. So, but then he starts turning into a werewolf again, and she ends up taking off his hide, so he's dead. He's just totally buried and dead and that kind of stuff, and she takes the hide back and is going to give it to the queen. But the soldier's upset because Gray Alice didn't honor his wishes, even though the queen outranks him, so this and whatever. But then the natives get restless, run into the thing, and attack and destroy and beat up and all that. And I'm really rushing through this, but none of these scenes actually are really fucking important. And, then the pelt ends up burning up in the sun, but then we cut back to Dave Bautista telling the story, and he's telling it to Gray Alice because I guess he has survived. He just needed to be skinned of his power, and I guess, or maybe it's a way for them to be out of this thing so they could be together. I don't know. And it ends. It ends. It ends right there. And The Lost Lands is going to be on my worst movies of the year list. If it's not top 10, I'll be amazed. This is an abomination. Not even an entertain abomination. F. It gets an F. Anyway, agree, disagree, what I said, like, share, subscribe, Twitter, Letterboxd, Blue Sky handles in the description. I'm John Ritlin, and I'll see you soon.